It's officially been 7 years of me collecting Rubik's Cubes and coming across some of the rarest and mind-boggling puzzles. So today, I want to show you my top 20 coolest puzzles, starting with the Slip Cube. But first, how do I define the coolest puzzles? I have 3 criterias. 1. Is it unique in functionality or uncontrollably fun? Like the Slip Cube, it's meant to have its pieces spin. Second criteria, puzzle modification. How different is it from the original? Like this one is quite a reviving twist to a normal 3x3 where you can do some interesting solves on. And third, for my definition on coolest puzzles, is how aesthetic or pretty does it look? Does it have an interesting color, like this nice transparent purple? Or like our next puzzle on our list, the Lovebird and Tux. Also, this list is not a ranking from least to best, so find which one you think is the coolest in this video and comment below. This Lovebird puzzle is a smaller version of a Tux. I have never attempted a solve on the Tux because it was trying to go for the award of the worst turning puzzle. But definitely one of the best looking puzzles. And for this Lovebird, it's like having Rainbow Road flashing in your eyes 24/7. I got dizzy trying to solve this because the amount of colors on this. I ended up not finishing it. And speaking of colorful challenges, here is the Venom Cube. You'll have to use your spidey senses to solve this. It looks quite confusing with all these wide frame pieces, but it's just an innocent 2x2. But plot twist, it spins on these edge pieces, creating a whole new challenge. So in this puzzle, first you'll have to solve the inner balls, and then make sure the edge pieces are in its right center, or else you'll end up with some seriously misplaced balls. It's actually not too difficult to solve if you're an avid cuber who understands setup moves and edge swapping. After using my spidey senses to conquer this Venom Cube, up next on my coolest puzzle list is just a regular 3x3? Well, this has a secret turn. If you line the middle 45 degrees, you can do a turn and jumble up the centers. This is called the MixUp Cube. With that additional turn, you can get some cases you normally won't get on a 3x3, like parity. I was really shocked at first when I found out there was a cube that could do that turn. Luckily, it's an easy cube once you know how it works. Now we have an extremely rare puzzle that was only released in Japan. Is this Hello Kitty Cube that came out in 2000, before I was even born. This is a sealed version that was never opened, that I won at an auction. I am super tempted right now on opening this to see how it turns, but with some self-control, I'm gonna just keep it sealed for the collection. Since this is probably one of the first character-shaped 2x2 modifications, it might have inspired the modern day 2x2 animals like the panda, penguin, unicorns, if you consider them animals, and the T-Rex that I named Cayman. Please notice me. But let me know in the comments if we should preserve this like a museum exhibit or unbox this and see how it turns. Another rare cube that only comes from Japan is this Udon Cube. If you love soup like me, this is the perfect cube for you. Even the packaging is hilarious. They made it exactly like a bowl of noodles. Can you imagine a super tired person one day who just wants noodles and mistakenly buying this and getting a Rubik's Cube? Well, that person might be. To solve this cube is super simple. According to the instructions, you only need to solve this tofu part, since the noodle blocks don't need to be in a specific order. However, if your tofu looks like this, it's wrong. You got to make sure they are all perfectly in line, like if you were playing Tetris. Next, we have something so big I cannot even fit it in frame. Not this cube, but this, the Google Cube. It's over 13 inches, making it the biggest mass-produced 3x3 you can buy. It turns great for a cube this size, so I got curious about what makes it move so well. So I opened it up, and it was hollow inside with very simplistic piece design. Since it's so massive, it gets tiring doing turns that it becomes a workout. Another massive puzzle is the 21x21. Big cubes are always cool as decoration, and stressful when solving. I still have not solved it for myself yet though, because story time, I made a checkerboard pattern on it, which made me happy. And then when trying to solve it, I accidentally messed up a couple of pieces. And that gave me so much anxiety that I just scrambled it off. But we now have 4 more 21x21s we can attempt to try to solve the checkerboard pattern on. This makes me a little stressed right now trying to do this again, just like solving a 3x3 for the first time. So let's try to solve this one time without messing up again. But while we're doing this, a word from today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Imagine life like a giant Rubik's Cube with its complex twists and turns that represents our daily challenges and emotions. Just like solving this 21x21 can feel like an impossible task. But with BetterHelp, we can solve life's puzzles. BetterHelp has a mission to make finding a therapist accessible and affordable. This mission is crucial because just like attempting to solve a Rubik's Cube for your first time, finding a therapist can be incredibly challenging, especially when your options are limited in your area. BetterHelp helps you find the right therapist easily. Just as the Speedcuber examines and plans their solution, BetterHelp will ask you a few questions. And with that information, within just a few days, it will pair you up with a therapist who fits your needs. And because finding a therapist is like finding your 3x3 main, if you don't fit with that therapist, you can easily switch to a new one at no additional cost. Like solving a Rubik's Cube for your first time, you probably had some guidance with a tutorial. Same with life's challenges. It's much easier when you have a professional guiding you. So if you're struggling, like me right now with this puzzle, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. So head over to the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/souptome for 10% off your first month. Okay, I messed this up. I officially have more messed up 21 by 21s now. Alright, I think we should move on to the next coolest puzzle. Number 9, the Pineapple Cube. I only bought this because it reminded me about the pen and pineapple guy from years ago.
Pen, pineapple, apple, pen.
But how does this turn and scramble? Well, just as touching a real pineapple, this is a pain to turn. The pieces are extremely flimsy and misaligned. This means I always have to be constantly realigning the flowers in the middle to make slice turns. But the concept of this puzzle is unique. For example, these flower centers do not have to be in a certain order. The only huge downside is the turning, making the solving experience not great. So maybe adding magnets to this might help. This next puzzle is newly released, and I think it deserves a spot on this list, is this number sliding cube. If puzzles had a love life, and the 3x3 and the 15 puzzle had a kid, you'll get this unique thing. You can do turns or slides to get numbers and colors in the correct order. Unfortunately, after trying for a bit, I can't figure out how to solve this. So I guess it's going in this box now. This next one is not a cube, but if you're sick of displaying your 3x3 like a lazy couch potato, try out this gravity stand. Get a lightweight speed cube, put it on, and give it a nice spin. And now your cube is a gymnast. It's the best way to show off your cube. It works by these weighted spears altering the center of gravity. Also note, if you use a heavier cube with magnets, it may fall off if the spin is too hard. These next cubes, I wanted to make shiny force cubes, so I got 6 normal ones and disassembled them all. Then after sorting all the pieces, I spent over 7 hours trying to combine the pieces, and it kept falling.
Oh my, the cube being lubed is the worst part.
Because of the factory lube on the pieces, it made it harder for the cube to stay in place. I could not even complete 1 cube out of 6. So after raging, I decided to go to a Rubik's Cube competition and asked a whole bunch of people if they could help me assemble it.
Do you know how to assemble a 4x4?
No.
No?
I tried to assemble a 6x6 back in like 2018. I couldn't do it and I cried.
Dang. Do you know how to assemble a 4x4?
Like my judge at my competition.
Do you know how to assemble a 4x4?
I can say yes,
Whoa.
but it'll take me a while.
It takes me a while. Yeah, it does take a while. I'm trying. It took me 7 hours and I still can't do it.
And even a world record holder.
Do you know how to assemble a 4x4? Did you assemble one?
Yeah.
You really do?
I do know how to assemble 4x4. I don't have that much time.
But it would take too long for them. But luckily, I ran into Jacob, who is a puzzle builder. And this was way too easy for him, because he assembled all the 6 cubes in under 30 minutes. Huge thanks to him. Now we have beautiful display cubes. So pro tip, ask people at a competition for help if you're struggling with puzzles. A way more colorful 4x4 instead of a 6 color one like a normal one, there is 8 on this. Meaning we won't get a whole side solved like this. So the solution will look like Minecraft wool blocks when finished. Solving this is harder than it looks. Thinking about solving the pieces in a different way other than matching the colors like we are used to is very confusing. I even gave it to people at the Rubik's Cube World Championships to try.
I think it's very hard. Yeah.
Very hard. I'm literally forgetting how to solve a normal 4x4. Like, this is so confusing. And I don't know.
It gave them a hard time and they can only come close to solving it. Here's a cube with a surprise turn, the Polaris Cube. When it's in cube shape, you can't do much besides twisting the corners, but if you misalign all the corners, you can start doing turns and even mess up these little edges. This was the polar opposite of what I thought it was. You solve it exactly like a cube at first. After that, work on these little edges, which you just pair up, and then cycle until you finish all of them. It looks scary, but it's super fun to solve. Another cube that gave me a surprise when I found out what you can do is the 2x2 gear cube, or called the gear shift. At first, I would just turn the corners, and this reminded me of those spinning teacups at Disney. And thought this is such a dumb puzzle, because everything moves when you do a turn. But when you hold the sides and pull out, we have something here. Now you can mess up more specific pieces. With the limited of cases and algorithms, this makes for a great beginning puzzle. This one really stood out to me when I first saw it. It's called the Nautilus Cube. And if you don't know, a nautilus is a deep underwater sea creature that looks like this. You see the resemblance? This is a much easier version of a square one that is bandage. I would say scrambling this is harder than solving it. For example, if I wanted to make a slice turn, you can't make it because of this yellow piece blocking. And there's not too many options on scrambling because you can't just do a right and top turn, since this is a 180 slicing puzzle. So you kind of have to think of the turns you are making while scrambling. But solving, it's super intuitive, just aiming to split these big red pieces, and usually other pieces will also be solved. A super fun one that anyone can get, even if you don't know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, are these turning spinners. This one is called the Tofu Cube. You can turn it by pushing the balls up or away. To solve it, match the balls to the outer colors. It takes under 5 seconds to solve. This other one is a 1x3x3 fidget spinner. It turns and shape shifts. If you turn it like this, you have a new way to spin. It's also pretty simple to solve. If you just like the Tofu Cube and want to step up, here's a fun challenge. Try the Tangling Cube version 3. The ball in the middle moves just like the Tofu Cube, except it doesn't spin. But there are hidden pieces here that you have to stretch out the cube to see. Basically, it's a 3x3 modification with hidden edge pieces with a movable center, meaning you can have it look like this and still not be solved. Because if you stretch out the pieces, you see the edges are not in the right spot, which makes it a perfect and quick entertaining solve to a normal 3x3, just like this next cube. Watch the colors on this cube disappear. You can say it's a cube with feelings, but it's a temperature sensitive cube, meaning if you put it in the fridge, or if you're in a cold environment, the colors would disappear. And then you can make the colors appear again by rubbing it with your body heat, or by sitting on it. And the challenge is to put the colors into place before it disappears again. Probably has one of the coolest puzzle names too, Rubik's Phantom. And finally, on our last puzzle on our list, and see if you can spot your country, is this 3x3 of the world map. It reminds me that cubing is universal, connecting us all together even though we are all in different countries. Let me know down in the comments which puzzle was your favorite in the list, and subscribe to see new and unique puzzles.